Hey there, and welcome to season 3 of Pause and Rewind. I'm Neil, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm the host and producer of my podcast, which is very much created for everyone. As usual, I'll be chatting to changemakers, thought leaders, and role models who all share a common goal. They're striving to make the world a more inclusive place. And, let's face it, we need it. We'll be diving into the moments, the realisations and relationships in my guest's life that led them to where and who they are now. Because everyone loves an origin story. We'll be talking tales, anecdotes, and a little of what makes our guests tick. This is an 8-episode season going out during Pride season. And Pride really is a celebration of the LGBTQ+ community, but it's first and foremost a protest. Showing up has never been more important, and what we're seeing right now is the fight is definitely not over. Each of these guests has an amazing story when it comes to doing their own thing and how they're showing up in the world. And I'm so excited to shine a spotlight on their stories. So, with that in mind, are you ready to pause and rewind? Hey there, and welcome to this episode of Pause and Rewind, the final episode for season 3. This season has been so brilliant. I've loved doing a shorter season for starters to cover June and July for Pride Month. And if you have listened along, thank you so much. Please do stay tuned. I'm going to be taking a break until October when I'll be back with more guests. I've got incredible people lined up. But this conversation was a real treat. It was an in the studio conversation in person with someone that I really admire, look up to because they're so much taller than me. And my favourite DJ, one of my favourite DJs, Harry Gay. Yes, that's his name, and we talk about the reclamation of his name and why it's so fitting for him. But Harry Gay is the founder and co-director of Queer House Party, one of London's best events. They recently celebrated their 5th birthday. I was there. Harry is an event producer, a DJ and activist. And I was once asked at an interview which queer person I would like to sit around the dinner table with and talk to. And my answer was Harry Gay, because I love what he puts out there. And this is going back a few years now. And I really wanted to dive more into how he blends his artistry and DJ skills with his activism. And I finally got to do that, which was great. I first saw Harry in person. I was walking down Peckham High Street and he was walking towards me and had green hair and this really long coat and he just looked so cool and statuesque and amazing. And I reached out to Harry and asked if he'd DJ at the House of Happiness. He said yes, and since then we've got to work together, which I'm so grateful for. He is so brilliant. His energy behind the decks is just unique and unmatched. And so yeah, I loved having this conversation with him. We talked loads about Harry's sober journey, ADHD. Take care of yourself while I was listening, as we do cover topics around addiction and recovery and such. But great conversation, so much in here. Enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Here it is. Welcome to this episode of Pause and Rewind. I'm so excited to be in a studio for the end of season 3 with a phenomenal guest, Harry Gay. Welcome to Pause and Rewind.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to have you here, and there's a number of reasons why, and we're going to dive into them. But I'm going to start with a question I ask all my guests. What does the world look like for Harry Gay right now?
What does the world look like for me right now? Busy. Summer's always a busy period. I guess I work in nightlife, but I have multiple day jobs, freelance everything. So I've got a lot of projects at the moment that are like either coming to an end or it's just crunch time. This is kind of always the way that it is every summer though, because we do the party that I'm a part of, Queer House Party, we do a lot of touring. So yeah, I guess like outward facing public life is like very busy, but then my personal life is very calm.
Yeah.
As a contrast, which makes makes all of the late nights and the touring and the busyness possible. So that's good. And
that is something that I've always wondered is, who is Harry Gay outside of nightlife? Because you share a bit on socials, but it is predominantly about your DJ work, the partying, and then the activism side of things. But outside of that, who is Harry Gay? What does a regular day look like for you?
It's quite a funny question, actually. We did Glastonbury this year, the party that I do, and I think everyone assumes that we're like crazy party people that don't get a lot of sleep and always out and always doing things. But in reality, we're all quite boring in our everyday lives. Big secret, but I guess it's out now. There were some people questioning us because we were like sort of sat up really early in the morning and they assumed we had just got back, and we were like, no, we're just waking up. So there is like a chaoticness to my life where things are really busy and fast paced. But outside of that, things are pretty chill. I mean, I've lived in London for 10 years now.
Okay.
I've seen it all. I've seen it change a lot as well. And I guess, I love the more slow-paced life now that I have. I have a dog. He takes up a lot of my time. And then what else? I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of things that, as I said earlier, I do a lot of things that make all of the chaos possible. And that balance is something that I've worked really hard to find. So outside of like the parties and I don't know, the online persona that we all have that's like carefully crafted, I guess I'm quite boring in many ways, but like that's exciting to me now. And I think that also comes with being 32. So like my life has changed quite a lot.
I mean, if that's 32, I mean, I'm 42, so I totally relate to that. Like the mundane is so underrated.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. You and Keith, obviously,
Keith,
love
the dog.
Keith.
Yeah.
Keith has been a journey in itself, watching that relationship grow on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I had like this really specific window where it was like quite a good time to get a puppy. I grew up with dogs, always had dogs around in my life, and then never really quite been the right time. And then what I thought was the right time appeared. I gave it a go, and he was absolutely crazy as a puppy, but he's calm now.
He's gorgeous.
Yeah, he's gorgeous. Yeah. But yeah, he's calmed down loads. He's 2 now, so we found each other's rhythm. We make it work. Amazing. It's pretty good. Yeah.
So that's one baby, but your other baby is Queer House Party, which recently turned 5.
Yes.
I mean, I was there for the 5th birthday.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Always love it, and I discovered Queer House Party quite late, and I just wish I'd found it sooner because it is the party that I need, and I really really love it. How does it feel 5 years on from those early days of lockdown?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things I had to keep on like double checking the date to make sure it has actually been 5 years, because it has been completely non-stop. And all of us that run the party as well, I run it with Nick and Tali, and like the 3 of us both have like jobs and lives outside of the event. So life has been really busy basically for the past 5 years. I think, how does it feel being 5, and how has it changed? I mean, when we started it, we lived in like a really run-down house share in South East London. That's sort of like how we locked down. There was a group of 6 of us, and at the time I worked for the Outside Project, and I do on and off quite a lot. I go back pretty much every winter at the moment. But I was just thinking about different things that we could do and like utilize their online community center. And we worked out that we had a really bad DJ setup between all of us. There was 3 DJs in the house. None of us were good. Awful DJ. I was an awful DJ, but I didn't know because like I just wanted to have fun with it.
That's wild to think that just 5 years ago you describe yourself as an awful DJ, because for me, you are one of my favourite DJs on the scene, and so many people that I know as well. So that's wild thinking that was just 5 years ago.
Well, I guess before lockdown, I was doing it on the weekends for a bit of fun, and also like to pay for when I was studying or to top up my wages from my really poorly paid job. But like it mainly was just like a fun pastime. And I think it's one of those things I never set out like, oh, I'm going to be a DJ. I'm going to work really hard to become one. It's just happened really organically, and I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, I was bad at the beginning, but I didn't know it. I've since learned. I've still taught myself everything, but like obviously had a lot more experience now. And then so we just put together Queer House Party, which was originally called Sexy House Party for the first iteration, and did it with no expectation of it being anything. And like over 1,000 people came on the first night, which was on Zoom. And I just had this thought the next day, and I was like, oh, I think I'm really onto something here. I think this actually could mean a lot to a lot of people. And also just like, it's something that we can do during lockdown. But the first like 10 weeks of that lockdown where we did one every week, it was just really chaotic. And back when I was much more of a party person, so there were lots of substances involved as well. So it was crazy. but it was good fun, and it was just really nice to be able to do something like that in lockdown. I think it's like a combination of like my ADHD brain where I'm just like everything has to become a project. Well, not everything has to become a project. If I like something, I will.
You stick it.
Yeah, you can't stop me. I will make it happen.
Hard relate.
But I think it's also a thing of like I don't really have a lot of choice in what those things are, which has been quite annoying over the years. But like if I like something, I think I've built myself now a life where I do lots of things that I enjoy. So I'm quite lucky. But yeah, it was really, really, really. It was just a lot. I reckon I can leave it there.
Yeah.
And then we sort of came out of lockdown, and all of a sudden, people wanted us to DJ at festivals and DJ at big events and clubs, and we didn't really know what we were doing still. So we just like all learned as we've gone along. And I think it's another thing is like there's never been any expectation for us to do anything. We've always just done the next right thing and the next thing that we care about. I think one of the strengths of the party as well is like we were all frontline workers during COVID, and we all met through activist groups and political organizing. So like we all had like this really solid foundation of like what we wanted to create, who we wanted it to benefit, what things we wanted to stand for. And then also when we came out into the outside world, and a little bit in lockdown as well, was just like the things that we wouldn't do and hard lines, people we wouldn't work with. And I think once again, because like we never really wanted it to be anything, we've only ever just wanted it to be what we're creating. That expectation of like, oh, we should maybe do that because it might lead to this, or we haven't really been guided by our want or need for success. We've just done it because we like it. And I think that's still the same with my DJ career and Queer House Party. It's just, I think it just feels very natural. And it kind of takes a lot of the pressure off when you're like, let's just see what happens.
Yeah. It sounds like it's really driven by instinct between you and also values as well. You are unashamedly and unapologetically political. I mean, your manifesto, right? You walk in, the manifesto's there. It is in your face.
Yeah.
It is bold.
Yeah.
It's cunty.
Yeah.
and if people don't want to be there, don't fucking be there, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I was asked at a job interview a few years ago by an LGBTQ news brand that we won't name because I don't think either of us are fans.
That's so funny. Yeah.
And I was asked, which queer person would you want to sit and have a conversation around the dinner table with?
Yeah.
And I said you.
Oh, really?
And the reason is because I wanted to ask about the blending of your activism, the work that you have done with queer asylum seekers, with youth activists and homelessness, with your DJing.
Yeah.
How did you merge those things? Like, was it a deliberate, conscious, intentional choice, or is it something that just organically happened?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I guess like I think once again it's just organically happened. I've always just done things that have appealed to me, and like the motivations and reasons behind those things aren't always clear to me. But like when we set up Queer House Party, I was working for the Outside Project, and then Nick went on to work for the Outside Project. We met through a group called LGSM, Lesbian and Gay Support the Migrants. So I did a lot of work with organisations like African Rainbow Family, and people in the asylum process, whether that be campaigning or like direct solidarity. So it was like very much a big part of our lives anyway. And we used to throw fundraisers before lockdown came, and once again they weren't brilliant, but we were young, and I think that's always been our thing, is like figuring out how we can make events that are overtly political, not just to sell tickets, because I think a lot of the time club nights do have like very political messaging, but they don't actually do the things that they're saying, which I find kind of frustrating. Not frustrating, I see it for what it is. Whereas we like genuinely are these people, and it's just like at the time 5 frontline workers and community organisers coming together for a party, and you might think that those two things are like really separate, but I think the way we brought them together felt natural, because once again there was no expectation for it to be anything apart from what we wanted it to be. So we've always offered like really cheap tickets for people that need them. We've always like offered free tickets for people in the asylum process. We've always fundraised for those organisations, And I think also like we just had those like deep connections with people doing that work anyway.
Yeah.
So there's an element of trust, because I think a lot of the time when like people from nightlife approach like small grassroots organizations, there's this kind of like, I don't know, dynamic where it's like, oh, I don't actually know what you want.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time it is, I want to make my brand look a certain way, or I want to show that like I'm doing X, Y, Z. And I think that's not necessarily always true for individuals, but I think when you bring in like brands and the more corporate world, I think a lot of it is just like about image rather than like, do you genuinely like care about supporting or like uplifting those people? And I feel like we always have.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it is. It's just been natural, because this is just like parts of our worlds anyway. So it was just easy to bring them together. Whereas I think if you don't really like have a foot in the door in lots of these different areas, it might be like quite overwhelming to try and like figure out what the best thing to do is. Whereas we've never had to really overthink it, because it's already happening.
It looks effortless and it looks genuine and authentic, and it it's it is what separates Queer House Party from almost any other event out there.
Yeah, and I think people see that. I think people trust us.
do.
I mean, people trust us, and they trust our motivations, which is good. And I think it's just like, for a long time, me thinking that I had to keep these two areas of my life completely separate, and I was like training to be a social worker and DJing. Or when I came out of lockdown, I worked for Stonewall Housing for a long time, and I was very much like, that's my day job, and a night job is Queer House Party. But then at the moment, and over the past couple of years, I have been like working on like bringing those worlds together. I worked for like a music program for young people who have experienced homelessness. What else have I done? Oh my God, I can't think. I've worked for the Museum of Homelessness for the past 3 years. That's probably a big one. And I've recently just like had a campaigning collective with them, which was like a program for young people with experience of homelessness, teaching them about campaigning.
I saw that, which is incredible.
Which has been really good. And like all of that has like a really creative spin to it as well. So it's just now me thinking about ways that I can like use that experience and all the things I've learned, but also things that I enjoy doing, into the more creative project management sort of queer party world. And there's overlaps. There's not many, but they definitely exist.
They are. In DEI spaces, we often call it, distinguish them between the day job and the gay job.
That's so funny.
And it sounds like for you've managed to merge them in a way that works for you. Are you good at practicing self-care through that though, and being able to step away as and when you need to?
I don't know. That's a really hard one. I guess, as I mentioned at the beginning, like I do loads of things that keep myself calm now, day job and gay job. I guess I just have like, the different jobs that I have at the moment is, this summer, for the past 3 years, I've been working with the Museum of Homelessness. I also work for Margate Pride as their like operations manager, and I do the programming and evaluation. So that's like a whole different area. Which is kind of like gay and day. Yeah. And then obviously DJing and Queer House Party. But like, I mean, a lot of the time I'm working 7 days a week, and that's how things are at the moment.
It's how you work. I mean, it's similar for me. I find it really hard to separate my identity from my professional output, from how I show up in the world, and my interests and passions. It's not so clear cut, and I'm not sure I'd have it any other way. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
I'm not sure how self-care comes into it. Like, things are good at the moment. I guess, I don't know. I'm still working on that. I think it's a process instead of like me knowing exactly. Because in lots of ways things are easier now, and I think that also comes from like being in a position where I can just do things that I want to do. Yeah. That makes life feel so much easier. And
when you're embedding your allyship into it as well, for other marginalised groups, because it's what you're passionate about, it becomes part of the norm rather than an extra effort. Yeah. Though the effort is needed. You've had a busy few months. 5th birthday, Glastonbury looked amazing, but you're also celebrating your 3-year soberversary. Congratulations.
This time around, 3 years. That's the longest I got, so it's pretty good.
How are you feeling about it?
I feel fine about it. I mean, once again, it's so funny because it just doesn't even feel like 3 years. I feel like with sobriety, recovery, whichever way you want to put it, life changes so much. And I think that all of the big changes in my life, like over the past 3 years, they haven't happened overnight. They've just all sort of like crept in, and life has just become easier and better. And I don't know, I guess I'm still processing what 3 years means.
For me, I mean, it's 6.5 years, and it's crazy that it's been that. I never intended for it to be that long. It was only ever meant to be a 5-month break, and it just rolls. And I've never said never again. But life is easier, and I feel happier. Life's not easy, and life's not always happy. But it certainly is better.
100%. You're just dealing with what life throws at you instead of sort of seeking other methods of like not processing and not dealing with things. But I guess like for a lot of people, it's actually can be a really useful tool. And I think for a lot of my 20s as well, like it was like a strategy for survival, like drinking drugs. It like kept me sane in a really fucked up way. Like it was a way that I could like keep on navigating the world. And I don't know. Yeah, it definitely, once again, it's one of those things that creep up on you, and it just became far too much. And I first got sober in 2020 at the end of the first lockdown. And then that stint of sobriety lasted like 1.5 years. And then I was like, I've read some books. I've done some work. I'm probably fine. I can drink again.
Okay.
And then I tried it, and it was like worse than ever. So
I was not good at moderation.
No.
Absolutely shit at it. I tried, but my version of moderation was 6 weeks sober, get wankered for a whole weekend, then go back and do it all over again, and it just didn't work for me. You put something really really striking on your social media recently about if you seen me doing anything silly over the last 3 years, just know that was authentically me. And I think that really speaks to people about you can still be silly. You can still have a cracking
My
time
life is
sober.
quite silly sometimes. No, but I think that's important. I think also, like, for example, at Glastonbury this year, there was like one day where I danced for 16 hours straight. It was so good.
I think you said your back was killing you the next day.
Yeah, my back does really hurt a lot. I think that's also just 30s, apparently. My back is gone. But there was a trans pride party on the Saturday night, and like some of my favourite people were DJing, DJ Dole, Carly Marks, I Jordan, Lagoon, Bambi, and I was just at the front for 6 hours. And then it's just so funny because people probably look at me and be like, Jesus Christ, he's so fucked. But I'm not. I am just like this. And that's also, I'm really fortunate that I haven't lost that. I think my relationship to like nightlife has obviously changed so much. And I feel like I started DJing because I was working at a bar. And that's how I learned, a bar called Her Upstairs in Camden. And I was just wrecked the whole time. And I love going out and I love queer bars because that came with the territory of getting wrecked. And I think there is this like, there maybe it's a concern. I don't know. I guess for a lot of people, there is a concern that like, oh, if I give this thing up, I won't enjoy these things anymore. And like, the really funny thing is, if I look back, I really wasn't enjoying myself, like at all. There were like brief moments, but it would descend into chaos so much. And sometimes it was really fun, and I loved that bar so much because there were no rules and it was absolute carnage. But like, what I have now, I wouldn't trade for any of that. And I feel like it isn't the same for everyone that gets sober. I know some people that get sober and they're just like, I don't want to go out anymore. But like, I love music, I love dancing, I love nightlife culture. That hasn't changed. And like when I am in those spaces now, I do get like vicariously drunk and high because I'm just like around people that have like let their guard down. I can do that without alcohol. This is the difference. And I never could. I couldn't for years. I needed a drink to leave the house. Like I needed a drink to go out and see people. Whereas now I can do like a 5-day festival with nothing but like Pro Plus and some Barocca. Rehydration tablet. I'm on my way.
Odd Red Bull.
Yeah. Don't even have that many Red Bulls anymore, which is crazy.
I need to take note. I still get asked sometimes when I'm out. Some women came up to me at Brighton Pride a couple of years ago saying, "Do you know where I can get any E's?" And I was like, "No, I'm sober." And they were so shocked that I wasn't on something.
No, I think that's the case, and it's also like the perception of like queer house party sometimes, which is good because like we are. Like our brand is like sometimes like very serious and political, but also we really don't take ourselves seriously. No. We're not like polished and we're not like edgy in that way. We are quite silly as a collective, and like we don't always play like super serious music, and we also like we'll do like stupid photo shoots or like make light of like different things that are happening. And I think like all of those things, being able to like be a sober person and just be an idiot.
Yeah.
There's so much power in that. I love it. So that's good. I think that I lost my trail of thought. I don't even know what I think.
I mean, talking of the silliness, one of the we've loved having you at the House of Happiness.
Yeah, I love it, man.
And when you said yes, I was just like so overjoyed, and Janie was as well. You played a Cardi B and Venga Boys remix.
Yeah,
and
Venga
it was
Wow.
just
I
incredible.
played that at Wembley.
I mean, it was fucking
Really
incredible.
important.
Yeah, silly, but it's so incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think another thing with like my DJ style and how I've learned to DJ and how that's like definitely changed and developed, and it's always changing, like the things that I'm drawn to, but because I'm like not musically trained at all of my like song selections are just based on dopamine. I'm like, how does this song make me feel, rather than me being like, how well do these, I think I've got an ear for it now and I do understand, but for like a lot of my DJing, I'm just like, I just want to play songs that like people will enjoy. So that's fun. Yeah, I definitely haven't lost that completely, and I will keep it. But I love that Then Go Out. It's so funny. Yeah,
it's amazing. But your energy behind the decks is like, it is captivating. Like just watching you behind the decks, you can tell that you are genuinely loving every minute.
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that you can do, and it's like going back to like having ADHD. It's like when I'm DJing, I don't think about anything.
Right.
And there's like a state of flow that I can get into where like literally nothing exists, and I can just like really just like having something that is just like your whole world, even if it's like an hour or 2 hours, so soothing for my brain, because the rest of the time I'm thinking about like everything else is going on in my life. But when I'm DJing, I'm just like, that's all I'm thinking about. It's so nice.
Takes you away.
Yeah, it's so good. I do love it.
I want to, in the next part of this conversation, we're going to dive into, what was the original goal. But for now, I'm so excited to dive into your origin story. Are you ready to pause and rewind?
Yeah, go on then.
Go on then. Here we go. Take me back. Tell me all about Little Harry.
Little Harry. I don't even know where I'd begin. First of all, I was born Harry Gay. Harry Gay is my actual name.
Your bio, my name is Harry. His name is Harry Gay. Yes, that's his fucking Harry fucking Gay. Yes, that's my name.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that was my name. So Harry Jefferson Gay, my original name. What was he like? I don't know, really. I mean, it's really hard to know where to start. I guess like some important things are like, grew up working class in a very upper middle class area, which is like why my accent sometimes seems a bit confused because it jumps all over the place. But with like single mum, council house, and started going to school, I guess. I don't know. I think one of the things I always remember, and I reflect on this quite a lot, is I used to question everything from when I was younger. And I think now my understanding of this is my brain isn't neurotypical, and the way that I am neurodiverse means I've never quite understood why things are the way they are.
You need to know.
Yeah, and not even I need to know. I think there's just, even now as an adult, there are so many things that happen that we just accept as normal. And I'm just sat there just like, why? Why is this thing happening? I don't know. But like as a kid, it was very much that I sort of questioned everything, which I think actually in school and then with your parents actually makes you out to be difficult. But in reality, I was genuinely like, if I was being asked to do something, I would need to know why. I couldn't just do something. Obviously, that's not great when you're a kid, but you're meant to just like fall in line in school. But I was like, why would we do this? I think one example is like when I was 7, I worked out where meat came from. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I can't eat that. And this was like the 90s, so it wasn't vegetarianism. We just had Linda McCartney, and that was kind of it. Never forget. So it wasn't as like widespread, but I was just determined. I was like, I can't eat meat and I can't eat fish. I don't even think it's a moral thing. It is a moral thing now, but I think at the time it was just like really shocking to realize that the whole world was like doing this thing that seemed completely immoral and abhorrent.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I think throughout like my childhood, it was just like a series of me questioning things. And like, I think also that comes with it. I think a lot of people that are in recovery as well will talk about how when they were a kid, they just felt like an alien and they couldn't really fit anywhere. I think some of that is to do with like being queer and like those realizations. But I did kind of feel like an alien within like my own circles, my own immediate family, at school. And I would say I got on with most people, but I could never like form like real trusting relationships with people. And I guess that all stems from like the way that I saw the world and I not being able to accept things on face value.
Yeah.
And that might have been seen as me being awkward, but I genuinely just couldn't get my head around so many things that were happening.
Do you relate to that, Harry, now still?
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah.
I think that's literally why I've ended up doing lots of work that's like focused on like solidarity and campaigning, because there are so many things that like, even when I listen to the news now, I just end up like shouting, which I think a lot of people do. A lot of people can relate to that. But it's like everything is nonsensical. Yeah. Like the way that society is structured, and the things that we're told that we just need to accept. I'm just sat there just like, but it doesn't have to be this way. And I feel like that's a big motivator. So I do relate to him. I even think back to like the version of me in 2019, and I feel like I've lost a lot of my fire and agginess, and I'm working out ways that I can like still honour that version of myself who would kick off every 5 seconds. I think that it was always, I don't know. I just had I don't know. I look back at like the 20s version of myself like quite fondly, because I think I was really good at channeling that anger into ways that were like really productive. And I think a lot of the time, especially during that period, I think a lot of people were like infighting, and like it was more about, it was about like our individual places in the world and like how we were individually impacted. But I was always more angry at like more structural things, and that's where my energy went. Yeah. I think the anger wasn't necessarily always the things that I was fighting, but I was angry about a lot, and I could really work out where it would be beneficial for me to channel that anger. And I do that to an extent now, but it's not as much. I'm trying to bring that back, bring it into 2025. But I guess, that all stems from like this version of me when I was a kid. And I don't even know where it comes from. My theory is ADHD, and I've just always looked at the world in through a weird lens that I can kind of like see. I don't know. I guess it's also like why so many of my friends are neurodivergent, because they have the same thing.
You're drawn to each other.
Yeah.
For me, like fairness and justice sensitivity has been a real issue.
Oh, is that a thing?
For peeps with ADHD.
Oh, right. There we are.
Makes a lot of sense. And here we are. End of conversation. Do you have any favourite anecdotes that you've heard about yourself as a kid? Either from a parent, loved one?
I don't really know. A favourite anecdote? These are things I don't think about too much.
Yeah, well, we don't take time to reflect.
Yeah. Just me being an idiot, to be honest with you.
What was school like? What were you like at school?
Oh God, I did not get on with school at all. Once again, it's like I would be told to do things, and I'd be like, "What's the point?" And I think it's like quite interesting if I reflect on what I was like in school now. Was like, I was not doing well. I would get like C's to God knows what F's. What's the lowest one? U. But then every now and then I would get an A star, and I think it was so obvious that I was really smart, but I just didn't know what to do with it. And I also like I couldn't choose the things that I was interested in. It's a blessing and a curse, because I now have a life where I'm like, I just do things that I want to do, but like I'm kind of broke. So it's like, what if I could like hyper focus on like making some money for myself?
No, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. But I think that was like also really prevalent. Like I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until like 5 years ago. But when I look back at my time in school, it was so obvious. So I was in trouble a lot. I was on report a lot. I was banned from modern foreign languages. They wouldn't let me in the block.
For what reason?
Oh, I was an idiot. But I couldn't sit down. I had so much energy and I just couldn't focus. And that was just like, oh, he's really naughty. And I think also like an element of classism, because as I said earlier, like it was a very middle class area, but I was working class and like from one of the families that grew up in the council houses in that part of town. So it was very much like, there wasn't the same level of like, oh, there must be another reason for this. It was just like, oh, he's naughty because of his background, and he's never gonna learn. But then there were like certain things in school that I just really got. Like, I remember it must have been like year 9, and there was a what do you call it? There was like an exam on rocks, and I randomly got an A star, and they're just like, "What is going on? Did you cheat?" And I was like, "No, I just really like rocks." It's like one of my
fixation.
It was one of my special interests when I was a kid.
Still like rocks?
Yeah, I mean they're great. They're great. It's just so funny, and I think like I was like such a typical case of like a kid with ADHD, but like I don't know. Once again, this was like early noughties, so there wasn't as much of an understanding. Yeah, I was just also really proud of being told what to do. I still am to this day.
I mean, I hate it. Yeah, I moved out when I was 17 for that very reason.
Oh God,
What were teenage years like? Obviously, for everyone, quite formative, hormones, all that shit.
Yeah.
But for us queer teenagers, quite can be quite a troubling time. What was that like?
I think it's actually quite funny because I didn't even really. There were like no queer or gay or. There was no one in my like family or immediate circles or like there was just like no representation. So like all I knew about gay was my name was gay when I was a kid, and my parents changed it because it meant something shameful.
Okay.
So that's kind of like the only thing I knew about this word gay, and what it meant. I just knew it was something bad, and like that was from because I remember when my parents changed my name just before I went into primary school. So like that's a memory that I have. So I always had this association with it, like it's something that like I shouldn't have had, even though I didn't really know what that word meant. Obviously I now have it as my name again. But anyway, so there was that, and so yeah, I think it's just like really standard, like feelings of shame and like really panicked and like thinking like this is the worst thing that could ever possibly happen. But then you grow up a bit and then you realize it's fine, and then you realize it's actually really fun.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a hard time in school in terms of like being bullied or people giving me stick because I had a sister in the older year who was hard as nails.
Okay.
Yeah, really handy. Would recommend. Someone once tried it and she told them where to go. We still look after each other a lot now, actually, and we're still really close. But I think that's the main reason that I got no trouble in school. So I'm actually quite lucky.
That's cool though.
Yeah, I know it's not the case for everyone, but
with changing your name to Harry Gay, was there a deliberate reclamation of that name?
No, I don't know. I was like in a spoons. When I was
all good stories, silent spoons.
I was really drunk in Wetherspoons, and I was like 25, and I had this like really in-depth conversation with someone about reclaiming her Jewish name, and like not to compare these things at all, but like we had this really inspiring conversation, and then I was like, this is so funny because her parents or her grandparents changed it because they didn't want like the society to know that she was Jewish at that time. And like she was now like changing it back to this like ancestral name. This is so funny because it's like so much more like meaningful than my version. And I just found it really beautiful. And then I was just saying to her, I was like, oh, my name was actually Gay. Yeah, I was like, my dad's name's Gay, and they changed it. She was like, just change it back. So like I was there in Spoons, and I changed it on Facebook. And I woke up in the morning, I was like, this is so embarrassing. But now I love it, and it's good. And it's my name. It always was. And it's also, it's really good because it's just easy to remember when you're a DJ.
For sure.
It works.
And the Instagram, handle Harry Gay Agenda.
Harry Gay Agenda.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think so. I think whenever people like ask my DJ name, I'm like, it's my actual name, but my actual name is Harry Gay. They're just kind of like, right.
Yeah.
But it works.
It works.
Yeah, so that was like 25 when I was like, I'm going to use it again as a drunken sort of decision, but I stand by it.
Stand by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you are Harry Gay.
I got a group chat with my dad, stepmom and sister, and I like changed it back to the gays. It's like,
love that.
Right, we're all going back. They haven't changed theirs back, but there's time.
What was the goal in terms of career? Like that question of what did you want to be when you grow up? And obviously, I'm guessing that DJ wasn't on the cards then.
No, I didn't even know what DJ was.
Yeah. So what was the goal?
There wasn't one really. I think I had no long-term plans. I was really short-sighted. I think I was always drawn to things that were a bit more creative. Like I got really into photography when I was like 15 for a friend that had like a fancy camera. But I think it's like going back to like when you're from a working class background, like going to college and studying something creative. That's like a no-go, like completely impossible. How are you gonna make money from that? And like now I know there's actually loads of money to be made in the creative industries. But like I think from my mum was a cleaner and carer, and my dad was a paint sprayer. So it's like, learn a trade. You have to learn a trade. And I was like, well, I won't last 5 minutes doing that. So I just tried to be more academic, and like stuck and did my A levels. I similarly left home at 16, so I was really lucky. I got taken in by another family who were amazing. And but then I tried to like be more academic, and that didn't work. And then just sort of like left sixth form with no A levels, went into hospitality, tried to work things out, travelled a bit, had a really funny short career as a model, hated it, but made a bit of money, went travelling. And that was kind of like the couple years after school. And I remember like people that I was in school with being like, you can't just work in a restaurant, like what are you going to do with your life? And I was like, well, I need to actually make money because no one's given me any, so I need to do this. They were just like, couldn't understand the reason why I would like go and get a job and not go to university. And I was like, well, I didn't get the grades, I don't know what I want to do, and I can't just sit at home. But I've never, like, ever since I was 14, I've had to work, which is great in a lot of ways. But I've always had to hustle. I've never been able to like sit down, which is also probably good because I've got ADHD. But I then, it took me a couple of years, and then I slowly started to get like more political in my thinking. Just the way that the world was going then. I think this must have been like between 2010 and 2015. Just like
Did you have any political upbringing? Was anyone around you
no,
political?
not really.
No, same.
Not
same,
really.
Same.
There are not really that we were exposed to, I guess. It was kind of just people. I guess we didn't really no one really talked about politics, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I think it was like getting an understanding around that, and then spending more and more time from the age of 16, spending more and more time in London and meeting people in London. So I was one of those guys that was at GOI when I was like 15, obviously sneaking out. Because where I grew up was a 20-minute train away from London, blessing and a curse. But I just spent that time like just experiencing the world and like putting together a worldview that actually started to make sense. When I was like growing up, like nothing really did, and it was exciting and like in a lot of ways really damaging. But I think, I slowly became more political just through like reading, and then I went back to college in Brighton. Stupid idea. Brighton was crazy then. It's calmer now. But I did a year at college in Brighton, and then I went to university in London. Yeah. So that's kind of like how I ended up here, I guess. But I guess it doesn't really answer like what I thought I was going to be doing. No. I guess it was very much like creative industries just didn't exist. There's no way to make money from that. You have to learn a trade. I mean, realizing that wasn't something that I was going to be able to do, so I had to just work it out, I guess. There was a lot of just working it out and doing, I think once again, it's just like the next right thing. Yeah. Even before I really understood that I was doing it, I would always just look at my life and be like, right, what's working? What am I good at? And what's serving me? Right, how can I do more of that? Yeah. Yeah.
I guess not all of us have that. Firstly, the mentoring or the influence around us to lead us down a certain path. Yeah. Right? I didn't have anyone that kind of encouraged me to pursue academically. Yeah. Luckily, I had a boyfriend at 17, and him and his parents kind of like were a good influence on me. But growing up, I never had anyone to look up to or encouraging me to go down certain avenues. So all my life, I've kind of found my own way. Yeah, really.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
With that finding your own way, I'm curious as to something you said, not feeling like you belonged in your family in school. Yeah. I have experienced that sense of displacement my whole life, and finding spaces where I felt that I fit in, or I not just fit in, but truly belong and feel safe, have been scarce and rare. Was there a moment that you found yours?
That's a big one. I don't know. I guess like I found it in London. I found it a lot of times, and have since realised that it probably wasn't as safe as I thought it was at the time. But I was so excited with the prospect of there being a whole world out there and like other people like me. And I just I don't think about representation too much, but I do remember I don't know, when I was 14, watching Queer as Folk in secret and just being like, there's a whole world out there. This is crazy. Because like where I grew up, it was like quite insular and
Where was it?
Hertfordshire.
Okay.
So it was like where I grew up was like a small village in basically just outside of northwest London.
Yeah.
So it was like quiet but really close
My husband's from
to
Hemel,
London.
so
Oh really? That's pretty much where I'm from.
I'm from South Ockenden in Essex, so hard relate.
Yeah, no, you really do get it.
Yeah. On growing up I took my husband back to Ockenden once, and he was like, "I didn't realise you grew up on the set of Shameless." And I was like,
God.
"Yeah, it is that. It is still that bad." Fast forward all these
I know,
years,
that's
and
good.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've ever found my people many times over the years.
Yeah.
For lots of different reasons. But I just needed to get out of that town because I think that's what made me feel like an alien. I've still got some friends that like I was close with at that time that are still in my life today, but we've all changed so much, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. You finding your people, finding your tribe, however you want to call it, chosen family. It's so important for many of us. I don't think I would be half the person I am without my chosen family.
Yeah, 100%. It's very important. And then I guess that's just like got so many iterations. There's like people that I'm like really close with now in London, but like the family that like I lived with during my late teens, there's so many like things. Yeah, I don't know. Actually going back, I guess that's the first time when I lived there with them, because I was like, oh, you don't really care about my sexuality, and you don't care that I'm like fucked up a bit, but you really see me, and you see me as a good person. And I was like, oh, I can breathe. That was like the first time I felt like I could breathe, was when I was living with them. So I'm very grateful. As like not annoying, as like difficult as it is to have to leave home at 16, like I'm very lucky that I was had that experience, because I think that was really formative for me, just like living with them. Similar to your boyfriend at the time's family, I guess. It's
really,
like
a really positive influence, which and not that I didn't always grow up in a household with love and such, family dynamics aside and things, but it was just it was having that influence. It was having a guiding influence. There you go. Not so much love and care. I'd had that with my dad and my nan specifically, but having a guiding positive influence was something that I'd been lacking.
I think it also, just like thinking about how I was in school, like leading up to my GCSEs, it was like very clear that I had a brain, and I think for my family as well, they were like, you need to go to university, but there was no like, this is how you do it.
Right,
I was like, what do you mean? I don't know how to do that. So no one in my family had gone to university at that point. So I don't know. It took me a lot longer to get there. It feels like a lot longer because at the time, those years are so long. But in reality, I think I ended up starting university at like 21, 22. Yeah. So it's only took me a few more years than everyone else.
Absolutely. I mean, I started a year later. You said something about finding people that you could breathe around. And I think that's a really beautiful way of putting it, because in so many situations, I can remember being a kid and not feeling like I could express myself, policing yourself, feeling constantly like you're doing something wrong, whether that's the way you talk, moving, behaving, whatever. And that feeling like you can breathe around people really is the essence of chosen family and finding your tribe. And I wonder if you think ADHD has had an impact on how you form relationships and such, and whether your awareness of ADHD has helped you form more sustainable long-term relationships, because I know that's something that I've clocked quite recently.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I'd have to think about that a bit more. I guess one of the interesting things is like, I didn't realize I had ADHD for a long time because I drank a lot, and I especially drank a lot in my 20s, and a lot of it was a bit of a blur. And I feel like there was no way for me to figure out that I had attention deficit, because like I was off my face for like lots of different reasons. And I have a lot of sympathy for that person, because I was just like managing my life the best I can. In like my early 20s, I went through some really horrific, traumatic things. So I have so much sympathy for that person now. Obviously, at the time, I was like, I'm not bothered. This is fine. Yeah. Because that's what you do. Like, I know everything, and I can handle all of this. But yeah. And then like booze actually, just, in a lot of ways, like saved my life, because it helped me. I got to a position in a place where I was like safe and like stable enough to process all of those things happening. And like booze got me in that awkward in between where I didn't really have any time. I just had to grow up and be responsible really quickly. So I didn't really have any chance to breathe, I guess. So like my 20s were very chaotic, and then like me getting sober and me getting the diagnosis of ADHD, those things happened at the same time. But like that's not a coincidence. That's just like I spent a year sober. So my first sober period, and I ended up moving in with someone with ADHD, and they were basically like, do you think you got ADHD? And I was like, no, what are you on about? And then like they just listed all these things that I do that I just thought, you know, I'm just an idiot. I just can't do this, or I can't do that. And then I thought about it more, and now it doesn't make a lot more sense. And in terms of my relationships are more stable now because I'm like not drunk all the time.
True.
So it's really hard for me to it's really hard for me to like work out what part. I think in terms of like space to breathe though, I think that's always been something that's really important to me, and I think it's like quite interesting when I think about like spaces that I've set up or been a part of, everything from like the Outside Project to Queer House Party, which is like spaces that are like specifically queer. And I think there's this like misunderstanding from like wider society that we're obsessed with being queer. They were like, we create these spaces so we can like go and just talk about how we're queer and talk about like all of our differences and talk about how we're different from everyone else. It's like the complete opposite. Like you create queer spaces both at the Outside Project and in Queer House Party, because you turn up and you don't have to think about it. You're quote unquote normal. There's no one looking at you funny. There's no one making you feel like you're different. And I think that's the really funny thing when I like have conversations with like maybe straight family members about Queer House Party and like, why does it have to be queer? I'm like, because the rest of the world, number one, the rest of the world isn't safe, whether you like it or not. There might be like laws and policies in place to protect us, but in reality, we're made to feel unsafe and not not normal, for want of a better word. Whenever, in lots of different, less so in London, but when I leave, Jesus Christ. But even like, so I think that space to breathe is like, you just get to enter a space and it is a queer space, but like when you're there, you're just like, oh, I'm like everyone else here. And you get on and have a good time.
Spaces like that are really actually quite rare. Like truly inclusive queer spaces. And the same with sober spaces or disabled only spaces or black only spaces. They are rare, they're sacred, and they're needed. Yeah,
they're needed, but not for the reasons that people think. And that's what I try and explain as much as possible. Oh, I literally just remembered it. So the last Queer House Party that we did, it was like a 16-hour one. It was non-stop. So the three of us that organised it, we decided that 6 p.m. we're all going to go sit and have lunch next door. The whole day is amazing. Literally don't even think about the way I'm being perceived or like if there's any animosity towards me, because it's fine. It's a queer space. We went to have lunch next door. Within 5 minutes, this guy started on me, and it's just like, this is the reason. And I know that is one guy, and there's so many people out there that aren't like that. But within 5 minutes of us leaving that building, someone is like homophobic, and it's like, that's kind of why they're needed, because I didn't need that day. And it does happen, less and less so, I think, I think once again, it's just like London is different. And I think certain people are definitely targeted more than others. And there are other people in the community that are obviously more targeted than me. But like, that's why the Queer House Party is so important, and like queer nightlife is so important, because you can just go and like not think about people like that for like a whole night. Like people like that don't exist, and it's great. And then you do have to go back out into the real world, but I guess you're like more resilient because you've had like an experience apart from it.
The joy and the joy builds resilience and resistance. So it's super important. Tapping back into early career. So university. Was that social work?
No, I did my undergrad in criminology.
Okay.
Yeah, and sociology. It was cool. I loved it. It was really radical, and I think I'm also really grateful that my university, it kind of felt like university in the 90s, because like we used to drink with the lecturers.
Was that was it?
I was at Westminster actually. I eventually went to Goldsmiths. At Westminster, like I had a really good relationship like with the lecturers, and they were like all so knowledgeable. And like it was this university which was like the pioneering university in the UK for convict criminology, which is like criminology from the perspective of people that have like essentially been in prison.
Okay.
So like all of my lecturers were like geezers with huge vocabularies that like knew so much, and I just found them great. Not all of them, but like quite a few of them. I had such a good university experience. I just had to also deal with so much external pressure from outside, and I definitely should have like taken a year out instead of like powering through, but I graduated top of my class. So it's like very complicated how all of that happened. I just got really into it. I loved it. I think I ended up doing my dissertation on the criminalization of the asylum process, and specifically for queer people in the asylum process. So it's like all things I was really engaged with anyway, and I was like doing that work outside of uni, so it was like quite easy to write about those things. Just made it really relevant to like my interests.
And people around you, you know, looking back at little Harry, that was probably labelled as a troublemaker.
Yeah, definitely.
Not academic in any which way whatsoever. How did they react to that massive achievement?
I don't know. I don't really speak to many of the people
Fair.
that felt that way about me.
Well, how do you feel about it?
How do I feel? I feel good about it. And I think that it just makes sense. And I think I always had it in me when I was at school. It's just like I couldn't quite access it because like the things that I was told I had to care about, I didn't.
Yeah.
And therefore I just failed. And I don't know, if there weren't certain things that happened in those late teens, I reckon I would never have like gone on and like studied and enjoyed it and done so well. I was actually, when my final grade came through, I was really pissed off because I thought it was wrong. So I called up the senior lecturer and I was like, the system's fucked. Can you please get someone to fix it? I'm actually really pissed off. And he was like, no, that's your grade. So even I didn't even realise that I had it in me, I guess. It's good. It was good. It was really nice. And I was meant to, there was like a lot of gentle pressure for me to go on and like study more. And I kind of did for a bit, but then I just, you know, never say never.
Yeah.
But it's not what I'm doing now, and it hasn't been since I graduated. So,
and you've got so many different outlets now in terms of what you do. And I wonder if there's something that you consider a failure that has been the making of the Harry we know now.
yeah, I was doing a master's in social work. Then lockdown came, and then I became a DJ. I've never given up on anything.
Yeah.
I'm very much like, if I'm doing a project, for example, if I'm studying, like even with my undergrad, like because of the things that were happening outside of university, there was so much advice for me to stop, take a break. Like I didn't need to do it all. And I'm very much like, no, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like with my dog, everything I read online about his particular breed was like, it's really hard. Don't do it. And I was like, I can do it. It was hard, but I got there. So I guess my failures, my failures are probably my inability to calm down and like know when it is time to stop. But I guess they've all turned into successes now. But I guess, dropping out of social work school. But I just had this realization that like, as much as I wanted to continue working in that sector, I was on placement in a children's social work team, and like it was very much had this realization that I was learning all this theory and reading all of these amazing ways to do social work and practice social work, but when I was on placement there was like no time.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know, it really freaked me out a bit, and I realized like how stretched some services are. Not so much children's services as adult services, but I think I just got the opportunity to then be a DJ, and at the time I was like, oh, I'll do this for a little bit. But now I'm able to like be a DJ, but then bring all of these other elements of my life into it. So I guess like that's the only thing that I've given up on.
Yeah.
But I got it in my own way, even though I didn't get to the end of the master's program.
Did it take you long to reach an acceptance and kind of self-kindness view and lens on it?
I don't think so.
No.
I think at the time I was done. I was ready to just like do something else.
Yeah.
And I think also just like it was some people I know did graduate from that course, but so many people dropped out because it was like all of a sudden there was no protocol in place for a lockdown where you have like a practical degree where you had to like go and be on placement. There was no one knew what they were doing, so I was just like, oh, I'll come back in a year. But then in a year I was like, actually I don't want to do that anymore. So that was fine.
Who knows what will happen next? Yeah. I would love to know about someone who has shaped you the most along the way through your journey.
Oh my god, there's so many people, but one that stands out is Carla Ricola, who runs the Outside Project. Mainly because, well, like loads of reasons. Carla is amazing. Carla was working in like outreach team. Carla was working in an outreach team when they saw that there was such a need for like a crisis shelter for LGBT people, specifically, and like the same reasons that I was talking about earlier is like, how can you like move on with your housing case or your how can you move on with like finding somewhere secure to live if you're in a space where you feel unsafe? So like having identity responsive services are really good. And when I found out about the Outside Project, I was a youth worker at the time. It was like maybe in my final year of university, and I heard about them, and then I saw them at Deptford Pride years ago, and I went up to the stand. I was like, I want to volunteer, and Carla was like, well, you can't because nothing's happened yet. We're fundraising. But I was like so persistent. And then I did volunteer, and then Carla gave me a job, and then I've done like so many different projects for them. And I feel like Carla's always seen that side of me that I've kind of spoken about quite a lot.
Yeah.
Carla's always seen that side of me and like put loads of trust in me and really believed in my potential. And like, Carla's really sensitive to bullshit and knows when people are doing things for the right reason and not. And I think I've also just learned a lot politically from Carla about like how to like navigate the world when you're like trying to do things in a certain way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it probably would be Carla because when was that? Maybe 8 years ago.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I still go back like over winter and stuff,
Yeah.
and there's still so much that I have to learn from Carla as well. So
Big up Carla.
big up Carla, big legend. Yeah, it must be Carla, but I think probably there have been loads of other really useful people along the way.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
beautiful when someone sees you and creates an opportunity for you. And
Well,
you
just
can-
the trust.
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh, you like trust me because
Yeah.
you can like understand what I'm trying to do
Yeah.
and like the way that I see things and how
Yeah.
I like. I think also in the sector as well, like it's this idea about solidarity, not charity, and it's like there's some people that like go into it because they want to help in a way that's like quite patronizing, but there's also like a different version where you like want to go into it because you can see what's happening is unjust and you want to support people. As a human to human, it's like understanding that there are differences, but like I don't want to help you because I think I'm subconsciously think that I'm better than you,
Yeah.
and I think that's like always quite belittling. So like approaching that sort of work on such a like neutral level is so important. And yeah, the Outside Project has always done
Yeah.
that.
Moving from sympathy to empathy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Does happiness and success look and feel how you thought it would?
Just
And what did you think it looked like?
Oh, no idea. I don't even think I know now. I am happy, so that's good. But I don't know. I never really, as I said, when I was growing up, I didn't really have much foresight. I didn't really think like this is what I want to be, or this is where I want to be, this is what I want to be doing. I've always just done things that I have enjoyed. So I guess in a way, I've always had like a level of happiness and success in there because like I've been really fortunate to like find my way doing things that I like. And as I said, like I've built myself a life now where I can just like choose projects that I want to do, whether it be freelance or like more permanent, and just like do things until it feels like a good time to leave and then move on to something else. That also excites me.
That's a really powerful place to be, is knowing when to move on.
Yeah,
for the sustainability element of it, for sure. My final question for this segment is this: looking back so far, what are you most proud of to date?
I don't know. Wow. In a funny way, I think I'm most proud of like, I guess there's like part of me that's like getting sober. I think that's been a huge game changer for my life, but then also been able to like help so many other people get sober as well. I think it's like the best thing I've ever done, and being able to be like show up for people in that way is really important. But I also like I'm very proud of like who I was in 2018 and 19, and when I was like constantly kicking off and campaigning and much more active in those ways. So I'm proud of that person as well. There's like so many different like iterations of myself that I'm proud of, instead of like a particular thing that I've done or achieved. It's like even like 15-year-old me that was like sneaking out and going to London and telling everyone to fuck off and not listening to anyone. I love that energy. I still have a bit of it. Yeah. So I guess there's loads of things, smaller things than big achievements.
The House of Happiness is London's ultimate sober clubbing extravaganza. We're led and delivered but created for all, whether teetotal, sober curious or just taking a booze snooze. We love a day rave, and on a Saturday afternoon you can expect banging house tunes, DJs on decks, dancers on podiums and a fully stocked alcohol-free bar. Flamboyant, bold, with a glitter station to boot. We're all about safe, inclusive fun, and we even have a pre-meet so that you can make new sober buddies before you hit the dance floor. Grab your tickets from Instagram now at House of Happiness Official, and we'll see you on the dance floor.
Are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Yes.
What album, book, or movie has had a lasting impact on you?
I don't know about album. I think musicians. I think my Spotify top 5 has like remained consistent for so many years, and I think that's because like while I'm a DJ and I'm constantly like hunting for music consistently, I will listen to my top 3. Florence and the Machine. She's always been there. I think like Lungs came out when I was like 15, 16. Just like when you're that age and like you find an artist that you really love, you like latch onto them. And I think her journey with sobriety, you can hear it in her music. And I never clocked. I was like, just really liked her music and her lyrics. I never really thought it was because I was also an alcoholic. But yeah, it's just quite funny how like throughout her, like you can hear her journey of recovery in her lyrics throughout her albums. And like subconsciously, I was listening to them and just relating at each stage of my own journey. So Florence is always there. Sinead O'Connor, The Cranberries. Those are 3 always in my top 3. I don't know why. I love them.
That. Really deep as well.
Yeah.
Loved it. Love that. Love the Cranberries. What's a saying that you live by and one that you put in the bin?
No one's better than me, but I'm not better than anyone else. My dad said it to me when I was like a teenager, and it stuck with me. We're all the same. We're all humans. We've got intrinsic value.
Yep.
And I think so much of like what I see online and I don't know, influencer culture, there's like this weird positioning of like, this is the perfect way to be. I guess even like within like queer spaces as well, it's like very much like that person said the wrong thing. That person's like not behaving in a way, but people aren't disposable. We're all equal. People do act out, but we're all fucking traumatized. So I always have to check myself when I'm like feeling like I'm better than someone. I'm not. I might be acting it or I might think I am, but in reality, we are all the same.
Yeah.
And I think it's also good because it's just also good to remind myself, because I think for many years, as most people do in their 20s, I was just like constantly convinced that everyone was out to get me and like I couldn't be like other people and I wasn't as good as this person or I didn't do that as well. But like there's also a little reminder in there where it's just like, and like no one's better than me. Yeah. So that's good. I will live and die by that phrase. I don't know if there's one I want to kick out. I don't know. I don't think there's anyone that I'd put in the bin. Let people have their phrases.
Fair. What has been the best adventure of your life so far?
I guess sobriety. That's one. I guess like I've experienced things that I never thought I'd experience. I've experienced freedom that I never thought I would have. Yeah. I didn't even know it existed. And I guess within sobriety, there's also adventures because I'm able to like travel on my own, go to festivals.
Solo travel, right?
Yeah, I love it.
The best.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Go to festivals on my own, travel with DJing on my own. So it's like all of those things are possible. And I like would have been convinced that that was all impossible without booze and drugs.
The solo side of things came to me through sobriety as well. Before that, I was constantly surrounded by people.
Go traveling on my own when I was.
I did it, and I didn't enjoy it, but now I fucking love it.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah. Calm. What 3 words would you use to describe you and your origin story?
I don't know what order they would be in. Serene's in there somewhere.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, Serene's a good one. I relate a lot to that word these days. Serene or Serenity, whichever one works best. Can kicking off be 1 or 2 words? Can we hyphenate it?
One, yeah.
Kicking off, chaos, serenity.
Kicking off, chaos and serenity.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a beautiful order as well.
Yeah, I think that's because it's the order that it all happened.
Origin story right there.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward a little bit. What exciting things are coming up?
What exciting things? I work for Margate Pride. We have Margate Pride. It's on the 9th of August. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited for it every year. But I just love programming a 13-hour huge capacity event.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do. there's an element to curating where I'm like bringing all of these amazing people together, and that's why I love Queer House Party. That's why some Queer House Parties are far too long, because we just get so excited with the programming. It's like, right, well, this one is 16 hours. That was the last one. We learned some lessons. We probably won't do that again. But what else? Just like seeing where Queer House Party goes next. Yeah. We've had so many iterations and we've tried so many different things, and just seeing where we can take it, I think is like definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And I think even in relating back to like my 16-year-old self, I don't really know what I'm doing next. Yeah. I'm always just doing the next right thing, and then I don't have a long-term plan, but that's okay.
It is okay. It's 42, me, same.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
perfect.
Roll with it.
Yeah.
What brings you joy?
Going out, dancing, festivals, the Buddhist Centre. I do yoga, I do meditation. I love it there. Big up Bethnal Green Buddhist Centre. I discovered it by accident in January. My friends took me to a retreat and I was convinced I was going to hate it.
Yeah, I'm on that wavelength.
By the end, I was like, oh, this is the most calm I've ever felt. I go there a lot. It keeps my brain in check. What else brings me joy? Those are the main things. Like hanging out with my friends, going out, dancing still is a huge one. Music.
Yeah.
Producing music, I've recently started. I've been doing that for the past year.
And first release single recently.
Yeah. April, I think. Just collaborating with people in that way, learning new things.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just like pretty much all the things that I do bring me joy. They also bring me a hell of a lot of stress, and I want to have days where I want to pull my hair out and like move to a cabin in the middle of nowhere and never speak to anyone again. But that passes.
Yeah.
I love the majority of things that I do, and I love the people that I'm surrounded by. So lots of things bring me joy.
Lots of things. What practical takeaways do you have for anyone wanting to carve an inclusive space like Queer House Party?
Do things with intention. Work out what you want to create. It's so important not to just create something for the sake of it, I guess. Yeah. I think it's just like work out what your unique take is. For ours, it was like we're all frontline workers and we're very political. And we also are really bad TJs. What can we do with that? And 5 years later, it's something that I'm super proud of. Yeah. But like, what is your position in it? What can you do that no one else can do? Or what can you do well? And just like, you've got to really believe in it in terms of like, I've always really believed in like what we were trying to do. And that's the only way I can ever do anything. Like I have a lot of faith in like the team that we have that run it. So I guess it's just collaborate with people that you can trust and you know their intentions, and just do things that, I don't know. It's hard because, as I said, it's just happened naturally. I guess don't force it, maybe.
Yeah, don't force it. Great.
Yeah.
Don't force it.
Yeah.
Final question for you is this. What words of encouragement or wisdom do you have for anyone out there to help them get to wherever they're going?
All of these are going to sound so cheesy, but like trusting yourself is so important. I wish so much of my 20s I had so many sick ideas and I was like, oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't be the person to do that. Or, you know, there's someone that's like smarter than me who's better equipped. No one knows what they're doing. Across the board, everyone is making everything up. That's a realization that I had far too late. Everyone's faking it. So you may as well just get involved. Essentially trust yourself because you know what you're doing even though you think you don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Harry, thank you for being such a wicked human, firstly.
Thank you.
For someone that I look up to literally because you're so much fucking taller than me, but also someone that I look to for learning, education and wisdom and the way you do things, the way you show up in the world. And thanks for being such a vulnerable, amazing guest on this podcast. So much. I'm so grateful that I get to work and collaborate with you.
Yeah.
And thank you for all you do for the community. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.
I hope that you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. It was so great to do that in person. I'm so glad that Harry said yes. And, you know, going back a few years, so glad that he said yes to being part of the House of Happiness. I loved chatting all about Harry's sober journey, and can really relate to that sense of freedom that it's given him. But beyond that, it's been a few days since we recorded that conversation, and so much resonates with me in terms of growing up and not having that sense of belonging, or a guiding positive influence that really stood out to me as well, as that was my experience, and having to find my own feet. And Harry really has kind of carved out his unique Harry-sized and shaped place in the world, in nightlife, in activism. And I think it's important to talk about the fact that not everything has to be strategic, right? We can lead and live by what feels right, by our values, and let it go, let it grow, and see what happens and see what comes from it. I think many people will be surprised to hear that life is so serene, and again, Harry's words, kicking off chaos and serenity. And that serenity is something that Harry really hones in on. It's really important to him when it comes to his self-care, how he balances his career and the demands of working in nightlife. But yeah, I love the reflection, the fondness of that Aggie energy that he talked about in his 20s, and wanting to channel that. I think we all need a bit of that right now, right? A little bit of rage is healthy and needed for what we're experiencing right now. But just, yeah, again, thank you so much, Harry, for being my final guest for season 3, for doing this in person, and for the way you show up in the world. If you haven't been to Queer House Party, if you haven't seen Harry behind the decks, get yourself to one of his gigs. Like, honestly, it's a brilliant experience. I'm still reflecting on that Venga Wap Cardi B Venga Boys remix, but so much more that Harry does. So yeah, get yourself there, check out Queer House Party, and thanks for tuning in to season 3 of Pause and Rewind. This episode, other episodes, as I mentioned at the beginning, going to be taking a break to October. I already have most of the guests lined up for season 4, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. So stay tuned. Please do like, subscribe, share, let me know what you think. These conversations, these stories deserve to be heard. These wonderful people's origin stories. And so yeah, help take them out there. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.